Frozen pizza promises magic, instant comfort, cheesy nostalgia, and the illusion that a cardboard box can deliver restaurant glory. But if you've ever grabbed a party pizza for $2 and thought it tasted like regret, you know there's a world of difference between freezer aisle legends and late-night letdowns. Today, we're ranking the 12 biggest frozen pizza brands in America, from absolute worst to surprising best, using real taste tests, patented crust technology, brutal expert roasts, and even a cheese mountain or two. Some classics crumble under scrutiny, while others have quietly revolutionized what we expect from frozen pies. So which slice deserves your last oven rack spot, and which one should be left for culinary history? Totino's Party Pizza lands dead last, and honestly, it's the pizza equivalent of a dare. The crust is so thin it's practically a rumor, either limp and floppy, or shattering like a saltine, depending on how brave you get with the bake. The sauce comes in one flavor, red. It's sweet, one note, and about as complex as a juice box. Cheese coverage? Let's just say you'll find more dairy in a stick of gum. The melt is so light, you could mistake it for decorative confetti, and the flavor disappears faster than your dignity after a second slice. But here's the thing, Totino's knows exactly what it is. It's not pretending to be dinner. It's a $2 snack, a late-night mistake, a nostalgia trip for anyone who's ever survived on vending machines and hope. The Party Pizza name is more warning label than invitation. This is the pizza you eat when you want to feel young, reckless, and slightly ashamed. The value is undeniable if your expectations are set somewhere between edible and technically food. There's a weird sort of genius behind the madness. In 1979, Rose Totino patented the crisp crust process, a real innovation meant to keep the base from turning into a soggy napkin. The actual result? If you bake it directly on the rack, you might get a hint of crunch before it turns to dust. One chef called it the pizza that's given up, and honestly, that's generous. Every box delivers the same experience. No surprises, no upgrades, just pure, unfiltered Totinos. It's uniform in the way that only mass-produced regret can be. Totino's is the baseline, the punchline, the snack you buy when you need to feed 6 people for less than the price of a movie ticket. It's not pizza, it's a rite of passage. And for that, it earns its spot at the bottom, reliable, indestructible, and completely unapologetic. Stouffer's French bread pizza clocks in at number 11, and if you've ever eaten one, you know it's not even trying to play the same game as the rest of the frozen pizza aisle. This is the eccentric cousin who shows up to a pizza party with a bread boat and refuses to apologize. The crust isn't really a crust at all, it's a full slab of French bread, sliced lengthwise, with a crunchy shell and an airy, spongy middle. It's more baguette than base, which means every bite is a lesson in structural engineering. Sometimes you get a perfect crunch. Sometimes you get a soggy, sauce-soaked canyon that collapses under the weight of nostalgia. The sauce is a straight shot of tomato, no frills, no drama, just that familiar cafeteria tang that takes you back to microwaved lunches and after-school snacks. Cheese coverage is surprisingly generous for a single serve, and when it melts right, you get a decent gooey blanket. But the real challenge is getting the bread to crisp up without turning the whole thing into a chewy, rubbery mess. That's where Stouffer's pulls a fast one, the infamous two-step cook. Microwave it first to thaw and melt, then finish in the oven or air fryer to chase away the dreaded sog. Skip this step and you're signing up for a mouthful of wet bread. Follow it, and you just might get that golden, crackly edge that makes the whole exercise worth it. Value-wise, you're paying for portion control and convenience, not bulk. It's the pizza you buy when you want to eat alone and feel okay about it. The nostalgia factor is real. This is the same bread boat that's been floating through freezer aisles for over 40 years, unchanged and unbothered by trends. But here's the rub. As a pizza, it's a category misfit. The bread base limits how much sauce and cheese you can pile on before things go sideways, and no amount of dual-cook wizardry can hide the fact that, at heart, this is pizza for people who'd rather be eating garlic bread. In the end, Stouffer's French bread pizza closes out the nostalgia tier, a quirky, reliable oddball that's more about memories than mastery. Jack's clocks in at number 10, holding down the fort as the frozen pizza you grab when it's Tuesday, you're tired, and the word ambition left the building hours ago. The crust is a textbook example of Midwestern tavern style, so thin you could read a newspaper through it, and just as likely to dry out if you look away for too long. The trick is to bake it straight on the rack, maybe give it a quick broil at the end to fake a little golden edge. Otherwise, you're left with a cracker that tastes like it's been waiting for dip that never comes. The sauce keeps things light and tomato forward, with just enough acidity to remind you it's not ketchup, but not enough to make anyone nervous. Seasoning plays it safe. No wild oregano parties here. Cheese coverage is modest, almost like Jack's is rationing for the apocalypse. It melts evenly, but don't expect any dramatic cheese pull moments. There's a certain comfort in knowing every Jack's pizza tastes exactly like the last one, whether you bought it in Wisconsin or Wyoming. Consistency is the brand's secret handshake. Jack's is the frozen pizza equivalent of a reliable minivan. Not flashy, but it gets the job done, especially when it's on sale for $3. Midwest loyalty runs deep. This is the pie that shows up at sleepovers, backyard parties, and Wednesday night dinners when nobody wants to cook. Occasionally, they'll roll out a garlic butter limited time offer, but don't let that distract you. Jack's isn't here to innovate. It's here to keep you fed, satisfied, and just a little bit nostalgic for simpler times. Tombstone grabs the number 9 spot, and it does so with a certain Wisconsin swagger, born in a tavern called the Tombstone Tap, parked right across from a cemetery in Medford, Wisconsin. The name isn't just a marketing stunt, it's a literal nod to its roots. Pep Simek, stuck on crutches after a dance floor mishap in 1962, started tinkering with pizza recipes in the back of the bar. The result? A thin, sturdy crust that's got just enough backbone to hold up under cheese and sauce, but still manages a crisp edge if you give it a couple extra minutes in the oven. It's a small but real upgrade over Jack's. The base is less likely to dry out into cracker territory, and there's a whisper of chew that makes each bite feel like it's trying to remind you of its tavern origins. The sauce is a straight shot of nostalgia, tangy, tomato forward, and seasoned like someone's memory of Friday nights in the Midwest. Cheese coverage is decent, and while you won't get the ooze of a premium pie, you'll get a melt that's satisfying enough for a freezer staple. Tombstone's biggest trick is consistency. Decades of production haven't dulled the formula, and whether you're buying it at a rural gas station or a city supermarket, the experience is the same. For many, it's the taste of little league parties and late-night study sessions, a pizza that doesn't pretend to be fancy, but never feels like a letdown either. Crisp the edges, close your eyes, and you're halfway back in that Wisconsin tavern, cemetery view and all. California Pizza Kitchen's frozen line sits at number 8, and it's the classic case of a brand promising a Beverly Hills dinner but delivering a mall food court lunch. The crust is so thin it practically qualifies as a cracker, and there's a razor's edge between getting a satisfying crisp and ending up with something that tastes like scorched cardboard. The bake window is unforgiving, 30 seconds too long and you're eating a pizza-shaped saltine. The sauce and toppings aim for that gourmet restaurant vibe, but the execution is a gamble. Some SKUs actually nail it, with bold flavors and a hint of ambition, but others taste like someone tried to impress you with a balsamic drizzle and forgot the basics. Cheese blends are more interesting than most, but coverage is on the light side, leaving you with a patchwork that's more tease than payoff. Here's the kicker. CPK wants premium money for this experience. At nearly twice the price of mid-tier brands, the value proposition starts to wobble when the quality can swing from not bad to, why did I pay for this? The brand's 2020 bankruptcy didn't help consistency either. Ingredient budgets got tighter, and you can taste it. If you're going to risk it, keep an eye on the oven. This pizza goes from almost there to dried out disappointment faster than you can say California Fusion. CPK's frozen pies are for the optimists. those who believe every bake could be the one that finally lives up to the restaurant hype. Freschetta lands at number 7, and if you're looking for the Switzerland of frozen pizza, this is it. The par-baked brick oven crust is Freschetta's calling card, not too thick, not too thin, with a modest crunch that never tries to upstage the toppings. It's engineered for broad appeal, firm enough to hold a slice without folding, but soft enough that you won't chip a tooth if you miss the bake window by a minute. The sauce plays it safe, towing the line between tangy and mild, with just enough herb to remind you it's not from a can, but not enough to risk offending anyone. Cheese coverage is even and reliable, if a little middle of the road, a solid melt that never pools or burns, but won't win any awards for richness either. Consistency is where Freschetta quietly excels. Whether you grab the thin brick oven or even the gluten-free version, which debuted back in 2014, every box delivers the same steady, no-drama experience. The value is right in the sweet spot, priced for everyday eating, not just special occasions. The real trick with Freschetta is restraint. Don't pile on extra cheese or toppings, or you'll smother the crust's best asset, its gentle crunch. For anyone tired of flavor roulette in the frozen aisle, Freschetta is the safe bet that never disappoints, never dazzles, and never lets you down. Amy's lands at number 6, and you can taste the principles in every bite. The crust skips the usual white flour in favor of softer, whole grain or wheat-leaning bases. Think less pizzeria, more farmer's market. The sauce is clean and honest, built on organic tomatoes and a parade of vegetables that actually taste like themselves. Cheese coverage is lighter by design, not by accident. You're not getting a gooey blanket, but what's there is real, organic, and carefully sourced. Since 1987, Amy's has been waving the vegetarian flag long before it was cool. Every box is a quiet flex, no artificial anything, and ingredient lists that read like a shopping trip, not a chemistry exam. The price tag sits in the premium zone, but you're paying for standards, organic certification, non-GMO, and a promise that no animal ever went near the pepperoni. Consistency is solid where stocked, though availability can be spotty outside natural grocers. For the best bake, skip the sheet pan and go straight onto a preheated stone or steel. That's how you coax the base into something firm and satisfying. Amy's isn't trying to win over every pizza fan. It's the principled idealist of the freezer aisle. Less about indulgence, more about feeling good about what's on your plate. Red Baron sits at number 5, and it's not just a familiar face in the freezer. This is the people's champ of frozen pizza. If you've ever hosted a family movie night or survived finals week, you've probably crossed paths with that red plane. The crust walks a clever line, sturdy enough to hold up under a pile of cheese and sauce, but never so thick it feels like you're eating a breadstick with toppings. Classic varieties keep things structured and satisfying, while brick oven options dial up the crunch for anyone craving a little more bite. The sauce aims for crowd-pleasing over fancy, savory, balanced, and never too sweet. Cheese coverage is generous, especially on pepperoni SKS, where you get those golden, caramelized edges if you finish with a quick broil. But here's where Red Baron really earns its crown: consistency. It delivers the same reliable, satisfying experience, whether you're in a big box store in Texas or a corner grocer in Maine. Consumer Reports has praised its balance, and real-world buyers back it up. Just check the mountain of 5-star reviews calling it the best $5 pizza you can buy. That value is no accident. In 2024, Red Baron racked up a staggering $1.4 billion in sales, outpacing every other brand in the country. It's proof you don't have to choose between quality and price. Sometimes, you really can have both. For those who want a pizza that nails the basics and doesn't break the bank, Red Baron is the freezer aisle's undisputed value king. Home Run Inn grabs the number 4 spot with the confidence of a Chicago original that's been perfecting its craft since 1947. This is the frozen pizza that refuses to compromise, starting with a crust that's more buttery bar snack than bread substitute. It's the kind of base that holds firm under pressure, delivering a crackly edge and a golden bottom that feels engineered for square-cut loyalty. The secret? Par baking, a trick born in the back room of a Southside tavern, lets you finish the bake at home and unlock that signature snap. Let it rest a few minutes after pulling from the oven, and the cheese sets into a stretchy, elastic blanket that means business. The sauce comes in clean and bright, with a tomato-forward punch and a dusting of Italian seasoning that actually tastes intentional. Cheese isn't just generous, it's a full-throttle Wisconsin melt, pulling off that rare feat where every bite feels like the best slice in the box. Home Run Inn doesn't cheap out on quality, and it shows in the price tag. But what you get is a frozen pizza that doesn't just nod at Chicago tavern style, it delivers the real deal, right down to the buttery undertone and the crackle you hear when you slice it. The only real knock is availability. Outside the Midwest, scoring one can feel like finding a Cubs World Series ticket before 2016. DiGiorno, sitting at number 3, is the frozen pizza world's mad scientist, the one that made the crust rise and the competition sweat. Launched in 1995 with the kind of marketing muscle you'd expect from a brand that trademarked the phrase, "It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno," this is the pie that turned the frozen aisle into a science lab. The magic trick is the yeasted, fluffy rim that puffs up in your oven, creating a golden, bready halo that's crisp underneath if you give it an extra minute on the rack. The sauce leans tangy and approachable, designed to win over every member of the family without picking flavor fights. Cheese is laid on thick, with a mild blend that melts into the rising dough and gives you that classic pizza stretch. Where DiGiorno really flexes is consistency. It doesn't matter if you're in Seattle or Sarasota, every box rises to the occasion. The portion is hefty, the payoff is real, and the experience lands somewhere between a Friday night splurge and a victory lap for home bakers who just want to press preheat. For best results, bake center rack and let the bottom color up for a little extra crunch. DiGiorno isn't trying to be New York or Chicago. It's inventing its own lane, and for a generation of pizza fans, that's more than enough. These two brands carve out different paths to near greatness, one with old-school Chicago precision, the other with a tech-forward, crowd-pleasing rise. Either way, you're getting a slice of what frozen pizza can be when it's done right. Screamin' Sicilian storms into the runner-up spot like a rock star who never learned the meaning of restraint. This is the pizza equivalent of crashing through the wall with a wheelbarrow full of cheese and zero apologies. The crust is thick enough to support a Wisconsin dairy parade. Sturdy, golden, and ready to handle a mountain of toppings without going limp. The sauce isn't shy either. It's bold, savory, and loaded with enough seasoning to make your taste buds wonder if they've just been handed a backstage pass. But let's be honest, Screamin' Sicilian is here for the cheese. Whole milk mozzarella piled so high it looks like someone dared the factory to break the scale. The melt is pure indulgence, gooey, stretchy, and capable of pulling off the kind of cheese pull that gets Instagram likes from strangers. Every slice is a flex, and Serious Eats called out the brand's ridiculous amount of cheese as a badge of honor. This is not the pizza for the faint of heart or the lactose intolerant. It's designed for the kind of night when you want to taste every calorie and feel good about it. The price tag sits on the high side, but the payoff is real, especially if you keep an eye on the oven and pull it before the cheese edges tip from caramelized to cremated. If frozen pizza had a lead guitarist, Screamin' Sicilian would be the one smashing solos and throwing mozzarella into the crowd. But the top spot goes to Newman's Own, the poised champion that makes balance look easy. This isn't just a pizza, it's a masterclass in restraint. The crust snaps clean with every bite, thin and reliably crisp, never dry or cardboardy. The sauce is a study in harmony, herby, bright, and perfectly balanced between sweet and tangy. Cheese coverage is even and stringy, stretching just enough to remind you what real mozzarella tastes like. There's no need for showboating here. Every element plays its part, and the result is a pizza that feels as carefully composed as a string quartet. What's especially satisfying? Every box delivers the same high standard, no surprises, no duds. Bake it on a preheated stone or steel, and you'll get a crust that could pass for a pizzeria's best thin and crispy. And there's one more reason to root for this brand. 100% of profits go to charity, a fact that makes every bite taste just a little better. When Serious Eats called Newman's Own the frozen pizza for people who actually like pizza, they weren't kidding. If Screamin' Sicilian is the rock concert, Newman's Own is the encore you never want to end. The champion isn't just about flavor, it's about clarity, consistency, and a little bit of generosity in every slice. Each year, Americans spend over $6 billion on frozen pizza, with brands like Red Baron moving more than $1.4 billion alone. Our ranking traced this landscape from Totino's 1979 Crisp Crust patent to the rise of DiGiorno's Yeasted Edge and the charity model behind Newman's Own. Key evidence showed that crust quality, flavor balance, and cheese coverage are not just marketing claims. They define the difference between nostalgia and true excellence. Despite decades of innovation, questions remain. Why do some premium prices still miss the mark? And why does style clarity remain elusive for certain brands? Ingredient transparency and regional market gaps continue to shape the choices on today's shelves. One fact is clear: frozen pizza has evolved beyond simple convenience. Whether driven by value, health standards, or classic taste, the best brands blend tradition and technology, proving that even in the frozen aisle, quality is measurable and taste is earned.